wasn't totally wrong in the fact that I wasn't supposed to do that. I made some notes for myself this morning. So I actually started the book project over Corona because I just need to stay busy and I need to do things. And so I called the guy he wrote my favorite ever MMA article about me. And I said, hey, you want to help me write a book? And he said, sure. So he came to my house and we sat for 3 or 4 days and just kind of talked about my life. And then, he would help me write it and go back and forth with him. And then, so, after rereading it 3 or 4 or 5 times to try to make sure everything was factually correct and I liked the way it was, I kind of took away 4 real key points, like why did my life turn out. Well, I like my life, so really, really positively, I think. And so I'm going to talk about those. Number 1 is delusional dreams. Number 2 is great things take a really long time. Number 3 is not accepting that the current way of doing things is the way things should be done. And then number 4 is your results don't determine how you should feel about yourself. And it's funny, I think a lot of those things apply to crypto also. So the first one is delusional dreams. And I talk to this a lot to my athletes about this that I coach, because I coach kids everywhere from 5 years old to 18 years old. And, they look at me and they look at all the things that I accomplished, and then they hear the things I say, and they're like, well, yeah, of course you can do this, or of course you can do that. But it's like, but they weren't witness to the, 10, 11-year-old kid who wasn't good at wrestling at all, right? They weren't witness to that. And so in 5th grade, I decided to quit baseball, which I liked, but I decided I wanted to be good at wrestling. Right, and this is a kid who had almost no success, like really minimally. And of course, because I quit and I started putting more time into it, I started getting a little bit better. And fast forward to 15. It was funny, actually, John Kim brought up this part of the book. And this part is a little bit delusional, just to start out with this, but I convinced my parents to send me to the 2000 Olympic team trials in Dallas alone on a plane and book me my own hotel room. So, John's like, I would never do that. What were they doing? And I guess I made them trust me. But at age 15, I watched those guys make the Olympic team, and I said, I am going to make the Olympic team, And at that point, it was completely delusional. I had some success at the state level, but I had zero success at the national. Zero. No success at the national level. And so we're talking, there's hundreds of kids above me, right? Hundreds of kids who are better than me. And I never thought of it as being delusional. That was just, I literally just thought, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to go 2004, I'm going to make the Olympic trials, and then 2008, I'm going to make the Olympic team, and that's what's going to happen. And, so I look back at that, and it was obviously delusional at the point when I made it, but to me, it wasn't. And so I actually had this debate with my high school kids recently, because they were saying, well, is there a negative to setting goals that are too high, right? Is there a negative to that? And a few of their points was yes, because it can lead to more disappointment. And but I think I won the debate. Obviously, they're high school kids, so I'm way smarter than them. But what we came down to is that when you set high goals, and obviously if I said hey, tomorrow I'm gonna go win the 100-meter dash or something, right? That's ridiculous because it's tomorrow. But we're talking about over longer periods of time. So if a kid says, hey, I want to get a college scholarship, or hey, I want to be a state champion, or an All-American, or whatever it is, even if it's above whatever skill level they're at, it's a good thing, right? Because thoughts drive actions. I said, what if you set a goal that wasn't high? What if you placed at state this year and you said your goal is to place at state next year? How hard you got to work to do that? And the answer is, well, not very. You already did it. You just got to kind of stay where you're at. It's not very hard. And so, if you have these I'll say delusional dreams or these really high goals, it sets a standard for the way you need to live your life and the actions you need to take to achieve those goals. So I think I convinced them all that it's not a totally delusional thing to set these really high goals, and it's actually probably a really, really positive aspect of your life. And then so, I was thinking, how does this relate to Bitcoin and Litecoin and crypto? And it's just the whole notion that we're going to start our own money that's not a government thing, and everyone's going to use it. It's kind of fucking crazy, right? When you think about it. And now, we hit a $2 trillion market cap last year, and the space is rapidly growing. And even though the price is down now, it's everyone sees the way it's trending. And I really do believe in, I don't know if it's going to be 10 years or 20 years. Like I said, I don't really put a time on it, but that at some point, that probably Bitcoin will be the global reserve currency. And I know, like, you guys probably think I'm crazy, and we're at a crypto conference. So set some delusional dreams that really, really, really helps you achieve high goals. Number 2 would be great things take a really, really long time. And so, I brought up in the last story how I quit baseball in the 5th grade because I decided that what I want to do is be better at wrestling. And then at age 15, I said, I want to make the Olympic team. Well, 5th grade, I didn't have any, so I started putting a lot more time into it, but I didn't have any real genuine success at a national level till 6 years later. 6 years. That is like an insanely long time for an 11-year-old kid to wait to start having success. And obviously on a local level, I was having some more success, but right, it took a while to build up. And the same thing with going to the Olympics. It's like I set that goal at 15, and even 7 years later, so in 2007, I took 5th at the fifth at the World Team Trials that year because it's the year before the Olympics. And so it's like I'm still far away, right? And I could have easily said like, well, I've been working on this 7 years and I didn't get here, so I guess I'm screwed, right? I could have very easily said that, but it was like, no, I'm gonna finish through this process. I said I was gonna get there, and I'm gonna continue working. So great things take a really, really, really long time. And that happened to me in wrestling too with, in the NCAA is like, I really, really wanted to be a 4-time NCAA champion, and I lost in the NCAA finals my freshman year, and I lost in the NCAA finals my sophomore year, and so it's like, I anticipated winning it the first year, and I anticipated winning the second year. I didn't actually win until the 3rd year, so it's like, again, a 4-year window till I get what I want. And to take that back to crypto, I mean, it's obvious, right? It's some of us feel like 4 years is forever, right? But then you look at like on the general scope of things, like how small of a time crypto's even existed. It's like this makes me feel a little bit old. When I was in college, there was no such thing. It literally didn't exist. Like, and I don't even think I'm that old. I mean, maybe I am, right? But it's like we're talking. This space has been around for 12, 13 years. And it's just so brand new, and it's gonna take a long time. I mean, to change 7 billion people's mind about what is money, because I think if you went downstairs, right, and you ask people what is money, I mean, I've done this, they'll say the dollar, right? I mean, that's literally what they'll say almost every time. So to change their mind and to educate them, I mean, Danielle was talking about education, but what is money? What actually is it? And then to dig into like what has it been historically, what is good money? Charlie had the slide about what is good money, right? Dollar's been like relatively good money for a while. It's getting worse. It's probably going to get even worse. But then you look at some of the other fiat currencies, and like they're inflating at 100% a year. Like they're no good. They're no good at all, right? But there's so many people who have zero understanding of what that means. Right, literally zero. Like they, if you started talking like that, they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. A dollar is money, right? So, great things take a long time, and that's I told John I was going to be in this space for forever, right? Because I understand that it's going to take a while. Who knows? Maybe in like 2 more bull markets, we'll kind of like be heading in the right direction. So we'll say what 8-10 years, hopefully, but if not, maybe longer. And this is one of my most important concepts, and this kind of really relates to what I said with price and value and kids doing hard work before they see success. It's from the book Good to Great. I don't know if anyone read that? Good to Great? Oh man, we got one. It's a great book. You guys should all read it. I'm not like John. I read a lot of damn books. John hasn't read a book in 15 years or whatever it is. I've read like 15 books this year already. Stockdale Paradox. So essentially this guy, he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, and he said what he recognized about his peers was those people who had dreams of, I'm going to be out by Christmas, or I'm going to be out by Easter, or whatever it is, when that came and went, generally said they ended up committing suicide or not being able to exist anymore because they couldn't take the fact that their thing didn't come true. And he said, so for him, it was, I'm going to accept the reality of what my situation is without ever giving up hope that I'm going to make it in the end, right? And that's just, so, like I said, with the hard work and value, it's like, accept the reality of the situation without ever giving hope that you're going to make it. And I think that's something I really impart on my wrestlers because sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take it. And if you say, okay, like for me, if I would have said, if I don't make the world team by 2007, I'm out. It's like, well, then I wouldn't have made the Olympic team in 2008. And so I think that's a really, really important one, is the Stockdale paradox, is never giving up hope of where you can achieve while still recognizing where you're currently at. Number 3 would be not accepting that the current way of doing things is the best way to do things. That obviously relates to crypto. That could be more crypto than anything. But for me, and probably the thing I got most well known for was my wrestling style. And so I obviously wanted to have a really high level of success. Well, by the end of high school, I had achieved a really high level in high school. And I was going into college, and I had really, really, really high dreams. And my redshirt year was a rude awakening. I took a lot of ass whoopings. And, wrestling's, it's almost unlike a lot of other things, because in, say, football, if you ain't the guy, you still get a jersey, and you hang out on the sideline, and you're just not the guy, And in wrestling, if you're not the guy, you get your face rubbed in the mat every day, right? I mean, you're the guy that's getting beat up by the guy who is the guy on an every single day basis. And it's really mentally taxing. And so my freshman year, I had these really high hopes, and I'm in the Mizzou wrestling room getting my ass kicked every day. I was taking a lot of losses in competition. It's like, well, this isn't what I signed up for. I wanted to be really, really good, and I'm not achieving nearly what I wanted to. And so that was where, I got the name Funky, and that's actually the title of the book also. That's where the funk came from, is I started looking at alternative solutions to, like, how do I have the success that I want to have, and not just taking the status quo answers for the sport of wrestling of, like, do this and this and this. And so I'd say, well, what about that? Or why are we doing it this way? Why isn't that a little better way to do this? And I started exploring these unique positions, right? And then I started having a little more success, and I would explore more deeply, and I would have a little more success. And so I essentially kind of created a whole new style of wrestling based on my personal strengths and my body type. And then it was kind of really by kind of outthinking people in order to achieve the objective that I wanted to achieve, right? And so I think had I accepted that I just have to do things the way that things had always been done, there's no way I'm achieving what I did. It's impossible, right? And so because I was willing to look outside the box a little bit and say, well, what about this or what about that, I was able to achieve really, really high levels of success. I think that's pretty obvious how that relates to crypto, right? For everyone, totally outside the box. And the last one, and unfortunately, like, this is the end of my career, and so that's what people remember, is I had some couple bad losses at the end, and people kind of remarked to me, it's like, well, you took those losses really well. And I always think it's funny, and because I don't like to rub it into their face that I also had an immense amount of success, but I spent most of my career winning. Like, that was all I did for a while. In my last 2 years of college, I went 87-0. My first 9 years of MMA, I went 19-0. Like, all I did was win. And then I had these 2 really shitty losses at the end of my career. And, a lot of people saw those because, in MMA or other things, your fame goes like this, right? And then so when it's at the top, that's, when they're seeing it. But to me, it's really, really simple. It's like, am I the same person? Yeah, of course I am, right? And so I never took too much value in what other people said. And kind of Danielle was saying this about social media. And I learned that from an early age. So when I was 15, now we're going way back, way before crypto ever existed, there were these things called internet forums. Ever remember those? Yes? They kind of still exist a little bit, but not very many people really actually use them. Well, so I was my sophomore in high school, and I was having a lot of success, and I was getting ready for the state tournament. Someone said, hey, everyone's talking about you on these forums. And I went, what are those? That's kind of weird, but okay, I'll go check them out. So sure enough, everyone's saying, oh yeah, this guy's going to beat him, or that guy's going to beat him next week. And I said, yeah, I'm going to whoop that guy's ass, and I'm going to whoop his ass too. And I went and did it, but that only made everyone more mad, right? That only made them more upset. So then what I realized, what clicked to me at that young age is, like, these mass groups of people, they're really irrational, and I should put almost no value into what they're saying about me, like none, And so then I spent the next 2 years of my high school career, like, trying to antagonize people and get them really, really upset. And so I would do something, and then I'd go to the forums. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, Askren's hair? It's so stupid. Can you believe he's wearing the hair like that?" And then so I would just like continue to try to antagonize them. But it really taught me at a young age to put almost no value into what people are saying, right? Obviously, the people around you, my parents or my brother or my coach, yes, them, right? But I mean, this is obviously pre-social media also. People on the forums, anonymous people, none. And so, when I take these losses at the end of my career, it's like, well, I think a lot of people feel within themselves like, I would be so ashamed of that, or I would be so embarrassed that I would go run and hide. And to me, it's like, listen, that's the result of a contest. That does not change who I am. I'm the same guy I was before, and I'm the same guy after. And so I'm just going to keep acting like that, And I think a lot of people can take something from that, because I think a lot of people put significantly too much value in what other people think, right? And it's hard, right? Especially with social media, and you gotta fucking read it all the time. I don't read comments, but I know a lot of people do. And it's in the comments constant, people telling you, what Danielle did wrong in a wrestling match, or why John Kim's arms are tiny, or whatever. So let me see if I think I hit everything. No, I did hit everything, okay? So, as I read through my book, and I thought, what can people take away from my life? So I think the book is entertaining, like John said. The author who helped me, I think he did it literally sounds like me talk. It was really weird, because, we would talk, and then he'd send me a chapter, and I'm like, oh my God, how does this sound so much like me? This is so weird. Like, he's like really capturing my persona. But then as I read through it, I said, what lessons from my life can people take away from this? And those are the 4 that I came up with. Is it's okay to have delusional dreams. Great things are going to take a really, really long time. Just because things are done a certain way doesn't mean they always have to be done that way, or that's the best way to do them. And results aren't necessarily speaking to who you are as a person, and you should kind of ignore what anonymous people say, or social media, or just the masses, right? Just be who you are and live your life. So, unfortunately, I don't have any books with me. The print date got pushed back a week, so you guys can get them on Amazon. I think you'll really enjoy them. I appreciate you guys showing up for my talk. Thank you.